All right. Hello, everyone. And so glad you are here. I'm Tish Hicks. I am the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo, usually in Burbank, California, but coming to you from actually a little bit rainy Phoenix today. We are really excited about this event today. We have our vocal sensei, Faith Rumer, here. Um, the and she is going to basically be answering questions about vocal health. I always love introducing Faith as part of the team because she has so many brilliant, good things that she brings to the world. We talk about her as our, I don't know, almost multi hyphenate, right? So Faith is a brilliant musician and songwriter. She is a gifted vocal coach. I work with her. My sons work with her. Singing coach. She's also a vocal coach. She has a speech pathology background. She's an A-list dialect specialist, a acting coach, and a motivational speaker. So I think in some people, that might be that might seem like, wow, she's really dispersed. But my experience of Faith is that it's concentrated. It's all of those things concentrated. So we're really excited to have you here. Just want to introduce the dojo team that's here with us. Joshua Home Edwards is our COO. He's here helping moderate. One of our beloved senseis, Kat Campion, is here from Minneapolis, and Jeffrey Gelbank, who is our sales and marketing lead, so and team support. So they are here. We're all here in the background if you need anything. I'm going to have Faith introduce herself a little bit, and then she's going to share a presentation, a brief presentation to open up things that we can ask questions about. Then we'll be taking your questions by, you can put your questions that you have in the chat, and then we'll call on you to speak them into the room. So we'll see what we can get to in the time that we have. And yeah, so welcome, Faith. Thank you so much for being here.
So happy to be here, Tish. This is one of my pleasures to help people with their voice questions and get them on the right track. Excuse me. There's so much information that's out there on the internet, some of it good, some of it not so good. And it's hard sometimes to wade through that. So hopefully we can get some questions answered today. And it's such a pleasure to be part of the dojo because it is, first of all, attracts the most amazing people on the team and also in your program. So I had the good pleasure to go through Tish's program, and it's really profound.
Yeah, I always say anyone who's a singer should do voiceover.
Yes,
So it's
absolutely.
great to have the blend. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll go ahead and start this. Just not a very long presentation, but it should give you some questions, answer up some questions for you, and then stimulate some more, I think. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, I should be able to now. Let's see if I can get it to do its thing.
Where is it?
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Can we see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe I can move us over here a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right. All right. It looks like some of this is going to be cut off from us, but hopefully it'll still be okay. All right. So, welcome, everyone. This is my scary voice story that I had when I was 19 years old. I was making my living as a singer, and I had all the talent and the drive, and I was out there singing 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night, and I was making really good money and living my dream as a singer, songwriter, and musician. And everything was great. It was really fun. I was 19 years old until it wasn't. And then, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to maybe make this a little smaller so that we can see it, if that's okay. Because it looks like it's too big.
It looks fine on this end.
Oh, it does? Okay, great. Well, then let me go here. Okay. Until it wasn't. So I had a
Now
really,
we, yeah, you need to reshare it.
oh, I have to reshare. Okay. It's always the technical stuff, isn't it? All right. Let's go back up here. Okay. If I do this, then maybe we can see it better. Okay, great. All right. Back to my scary voice story. Da 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 da. And everything was great. I was out there making a living as a singer, working 5 nights a week until it wasn't. So I had really good vocal training in college, but I really was not prepared for the stress that using my voice to sing professionally night after night was going to put on it. So I started to get hoarse. And I got so bad one day that one day I woke up and I answered the phone and I couldn't get anything out. Nothing came out. So I was like that. So eventually I needed to see a doctor because my voice wasn't getting any better and I was still making my living as a singer. And the diagnosis was devastating for me because I really didn't know how to take care of my voice. I had developed vocal nodules. Even with that great vocal training in college, it still happened. So the doctor put me on vocal rest for 4 months. I had to stop singing and I tried to find another job. I ended up waiting on tables so that I could make enough money while I rehabbed my voice. And I love to sing. It was the thing that made me happier than anything. And I wasn't even supposed to be talking very much. So I had to find another way to make my living. And then I was referred to this wonderful singing teacher who knew the intricacies of vocal rehab. And eventually I was able to start singing again. And little by little, I got my singing career back. And I vowed that I would never lose my voice again. So I started studying voice with great teachers, great coaches, and I researched all kinds of vocal techniques. I earned my master's degree in speech pathology and voice therapy. And I even worked at USC County Hospital in their amazing voice lab, where I helped to rehab all kinds of voice injured patients. And for the last 25 years, I've coached many different professional voice users in vocal technique, helping them strengthen their voice and get it back when they've lost it or overused it. So I've done a lot of work with rehab, with vocal rehab with singers and speakers when they've had some problems, actors on the set, singers who are working on an album and they need to make sure they can get their voice back. So I learned what to do and not what to do. Not I learned what to do and what not to do. Now I still take a lot of chances with my voice. I don't really baby it. I sing all kinds of things from rock to R&B to musical theater, all kinds of things. And sometimes it gets tired, but I never lose it and never get into the danger zone of having some problems with my voice. So everyone on this call, we need to use our voices for our work, and it becomes extremely important for our voice to stay healthy. You have to take care of it. If you don't, you will eventually lose it. And I will point out that even great singers like Julie Andrews, Adele, Stevie Wonder, Bono, Elton John, Whitney Houston, and Celine Dion have all lost their voices from vocal abuse and overuse. I think that Celine Dion had nodules. Julie Andrews destroyed her voice with some surgery because she had nodules. Adele's had 3 surgeries. Stevie Wonder 3 surgeries. Whitney Houston had problems too. So sometimes you can be really good at what you do, and if you don't take care of your voice, you're going to have some issues with it. It doesn't mean that you're not a good voice artist. It just means you have to address the voice issues that are healthy. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my top voice care tips. Of course, drink a lot of water. You want to keep your voice hydrated. Super important. Always keep water with you. Yes, I have my water too. And here's a list of a few. Get plenty of sleep. There is nothing like sleep for your voice. You can suck on hard candies throughout the day. Use a humidifier. It's a good investment. Rest your voice. If you're using your voice a lot during the day, take breaks. So if you're in the booth and you're doing any kind of a read, but if you're especially doing like an audiobook, which takes hours and hours, you want to make sure that you schedule in breaks for yourself to take care of your voice. And then keep physically healthy. So cardio is really helpful for good breathing and stamina, and also have a daily voice warm up routine. That's really super important. All right, here's a good one. Never clear your throat. Notice I said never. I want to clear my throat right now because I got a little morning stuff in it, but I'm not going to do it. Every time you clear your throat, you bang your vocal cords together and it irritates them. That's what makes that sound. So if you have allergies, clearing your throat irritates the throat even more, and your body just creates more mucus to try and alleviate the irritation. So you want to take a sip of water instead.
Mhm.
Or you can do what I call a voiceless cough, like it's not quite as good as clearing your throat. It doesn't feel as good, but certainly better than clearing the throat. And don't smoke, obviously. Avoid dust, smoke, and toxic fumes. So even if you're cleaning in your house these days, put that mask on so that you don't inhale any of the fumes or the dust. Stop talking or singing when your voice feels hoarse or tired or sore. Really get in touch with how it feels. Just stop using it if it starts to feel strange, because it's only going to get worse. And don't yell or scream. In normal life, try not to yell. And if you need to scream in a professional situation, so if you're an actor and you need to scream on the set, or even in video games, sometimes we need to really use our voice very, very strongly, very big, and making crazy sounds. You want to make sure that you have good technique to be able to scream and yell in a healthy way. There's actually a way to do that. Avoid or limit these foods and beverages: citrus and dairy. Citrus, it's acidic and it irritates our throat. Ice and water. We can talk about why these are, people probably have some questions. And spicy foods. Also, tea, alcohol, and caffeine. You want to avoid these foods and beverages. So, what causes hoarseness? A couple of things you want to be on the lookout for. Acute laryngitis, your vocal cords are swollen, usually due to a common cold or an upper respiratory infection. And this is vocal rest time. So if you got a cold and you've got a laryngitis because your vocal cords are swollen, you just need to rest your voice, because like anything else, it just takes time for the edema for you to get rid of the edema in the cords. Vocal abuse causes hoarseness, screaming, very loud talking, or trying to sing out of your range. So if you're trying to hit high notes and straining, you could easily cause some pretty big damage in your vocal folds. All right. Vocal nodules, which are calluses on your vocal folds, and that's usually from prolonged vocal abuse. It doesn't usually happen just one time. It's usually become a series of abuse that's happening. And
Mhm.
polyps are growths on your vocal folds that form from prolonged vocal abuse as well. And they usually must be removed by surgery. Reflux will also cause hoarseness. And so because that stomach acid comes up and irritates the vocal cords. So we're going to see that changing your diet can help that a lot. Also, smoking. Um, if you smoke any kind of thing, whether it's cigarettes or weed, it's going to be hard on your vocal folds. So you want to take a look at that and see how that's affecting you. Allergies can cause swelling of the vocal folds because of the postnasal drip that you might be getting. And I had a big problem with that at one time. And I was really getting hoarse from allergies when I first moved to Los Angeles, because of the difference from Chicago and Los Angeles in the vegetation here. And I was getting a lot of postnasal drip and hoarseness. And I went to a lot of doctors, and none of them really helped me very much. And I can tell you what actually worked for me was acupuncture.
Mm, interesting.
It changed everything for me. And then cancer can also um, cause hoarseness. So if you've got prolonged hoarseness, you should always have that checked out by a doctor. Okay. Oops, I gotta get in here. All right. Oh, why isn't that working? I don't know.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So, how to protect your voice from getting hoarse? Get really good vocal training. So you want to get the best vocal coach you can. Don't wait until you're having problems to get your lessons. This is your voice, your only voice, I say. So invest in yourself. Every dollar that you spend investing in good vocal training will pay off for you in so many ways. I know that I I invested in the best vocal teachers I could find, and I never regretted it ever. So always warm up your voice, always warm up your voice. Whenever you need to use your voice professionally, make sure you warm up your voice for at least 10 minutes, no exceptions. So you can launch into there. I mean, that's even true for Tish and I when we start teaching. It's really good for us to warm up our voice before we get in on that call, even though we'll probably get warmed up during the call, but it's really helpful to do that. And then if you're going to speak to a large group or over noise, see if you can get them, whoever yourself or whoever is putting on the event, to make sure you have some kind of amplifier so you're not screaming over the loud noise. You really ask for it and make sure you have a good monitoring system if you're a singer. Okay. What to do when you have a cold? You want to rest your voice. Your vocal cords are probably swollen, usually due to a nasal drip. Get as much vocal rest. Drink plenty of fluids and inhale steam throughout the day. You can get a personal steamer. This is my favorite, My Pure Mist, but there are several that you can get on Amazon, and they just fit over your face, and you can use them to sit, and you can be reading or watching TV, and actually really putting humidity um, into your system. You can even take this with you. It's portable, so you could take it with you on the road if you need to go somewhere. It's always good. And let's see. Warm up your voice gently if you have a cold. You can hum lightly, vocalize lightly on an N sound or a hum. N is kind of good because it's not closed and you can open the mouth a little bit and kind of do a little light warm up. Avoid alcohol and caffeine because they dehydrate you. And don't whisper because that's very hard on your throat. Try to limit your coughing. Coughing is one of the hardest things on your voice. So even though decongestants are not great, sometimes they're a better choice than having to go through a bunch of coughing. So you can kind of take a look at that. And use a saline nasal spray. And my favorite spray is called Xlear. You can get that on Amazon as well. Okay, just a few slides left here, and then we'll jump right into our Q&A. When you should see a voice doctor. So you want to schedule an appointment with your general practitioner, not an ENT, but just your general practitioner, because your ENT is going to sometimes you need it's going to be more expensive, and it's going to be something that sometimes you need a referral if you're in certain kinds of um, medical insurance. And so if you just get sick from a cold or a flu, you can probably go see your general practitioner. If you've been kind of coughing, you've been sick for a week, go see your doctor. If you have chronic heartburn, that's a really good time to go see your doctor. And if your allergies are constantly causing you to be hoarse. Now, when you want to go see an ENT is if you've lost your voice and you have an important speech or a performance and the show must go on. So you've got a performance that night or the next day, then you might need to go see an ENT. If you often are getting hoarse using your voice and you have a hard time recovering it, I highly suggest you make an appointment with an ENT and find out what's going on. If you can't hit your high notes anymore, or your tone is breathier than usual, your voice is cutting out, schedule an appointment with an ENT. And if you've been hoarse for more than 3 weeks and you're not sick, but you're hoarse, you want to make sure that you go see a doctor as soon as possible, an ENT. And if you have pain in your throat, if you've got that pain that's not from a cold or a flu, like you're not sick, but there's pain in your throat, see that ENT. You're coughing up blood. That could be a vocal hemorrhage. And if you have difficulty swallowing, there could be some neurological or obstruction in your throat. And if you find a lump in your neck or sores in your mouth that don't heal, especially if you're a smoker, make sure you go make those appointments with your ENT.
Mhm. Excellent. And everyone knows ENT is ear, nose, throat doctor.
An ear, nose, and throat doctor. Sometimes they're called otolaryngologist. Sometimes you'll see that department at a hospital, the Department of Otolaryngology, and that's an ear, nose, and throat doctor or a laryngologist. You can also see them if you'd like. Okay, last here, management of GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. That's the technical term for it. So that's reflux. So there are a list of foods and beverages that you want to kind of avoid if you feel like you're having some reflux problems: spicy foods, acidic foods, tomatoes, citrus, greasy or fatty foods, chocolate, peppermint, caffeine, carbonated beverages, and alcohol. And here are some things that you want to do: eat small meals, quit smoking, sit up after your meals, wait 2 or 3 hours after eating before lying down, and wear loose clothing. Hike up the head of your bed by using a bed wedge.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you'd like this information, I have a vocal care ebook, and you can, if you want to email me, I can send it to you if that's so you didn't have to make all of these notes and in case you didn't get them all down. And I'll just go ahead. That's at Faith at the Artist First. You can email me there if you'd like a copy of my vocal care ebook, and I'd be happy to send that to you because sometimes taking all these notes is not easy.
Well, this is fantastic, and it's great, Faith, because I think you probably in this presentation either answered a lot of questions or opened up questions that will have references on how to do it. I know I personally have, for the first time in my 25-year voiceover career, been like, I think I have acid reflux. It's affecting my voice. I was talking to Faith the other day. She's like, hmm, what's going on? What's going on? So we just did a session, um, and I'm moving forward with it with an appointment at an ENT just to make sure. But I'm really noticing it,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's terrifying.
Here's the thing: it's manageable if if it's
Mhm.
the reflux, and reflux can come from a lot of different things. Stress is a big thing that happens if we're under any kind of stress that can cause that reflux to start to flare up, or even cause it even when you haven't before had it before. And then our bodies change, as well, and some things that were easy for us to digest and work with before sometimes aren't so much. But it is definitely manageable.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple quick questions about can you talk about the relationship of carbonated beverages?
Yeah.
And then we'll open up we'll start with JJ's question after that. But yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put this. Someone wanted the. Here we go. Here. There. Yeah. There you go. And then Faith at the Artist First. You can email directly if you want that vocal care ebook. I can send that to you easily. So the question was, oh,
Carbonated beverages in relationship to acid reflux, GERD.
well, because what happens with acid reflux is the acid in your stomach gets washed up through your esophagus, and then sometimes it just stays in your chest area, and that's when you have heartburn. So if you have heartburn, that's probably what's going on there. It just kind of comes up and it stays right there in the esophagus, right there. So if you are drinking carbonated beverages, it's going to burp that up even farther. So, not a great idea. We don't really want to be able to be burping that acid reflux up. Sometimes you'll notice with carbonated beverages, you might get a little acidic taste sometimes, and that's what the reflux is. Now, if it comes up into around your throat area, that's called laryngeal esophageal reflux disease because it goes over your larynx. Now, sometimes if you have that, you may not have heartburn because it's actually coming up into your throat, and you may not experience heartburn from that. So if you don't have heartburn, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have reflux. You might have reflux, but it's washing up higher and not sitting in your chest area.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start with JJ's question. You want to unmute yourself, JJ, and start with your question?
Hi, thanks so much, Tish, and thanks, Faith, for doing this. I've already learned a lot, and yes, I've taken a bunch of notes. Um, I just wanted to ask if you would share in more specificity your warm-up routine. I'm self-taught in a lot of ways and never really learned a good warm-up routine, and just wanted to kind of eavesdrop on yours. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Here I am, sort of. I got to.
I heard you clearing your throat, and I tell you what, as soon as you said don't clear your throat, that's all I wanted to do.
I got a lot of morning stuff. So here's what I'm going to do when I get morning stuff. I'm going to show you. I'm going to shake my chest. I'm going to go ah ah. So that's going to clear it out a little bit, and then I might go yeah wah ah like a baby, and I'm going to get that up out of my throat, up into my face. So you can see that I'm clearing that out now, right? It's a little bit better with those two things. So I felt a lot of congestion in my chest, which happens sometimes with me. I've been, nowadays things are going on around the neighborhood, and whenever they do they're out doing the lawn, it stirs things up, and then I get this congestion. So, so here I am with that congestion in my throat. So I was kind of clearing out that way, drinking some water, get it up into my face and my head. Yeah. So I'm trying to get it up there. Nya, 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 nya. Those kinds of sounds can really get it up out of your throat, up into your head, which is where I want it to be. So basic warm up would be, JJ, would be, you want to do a stretch, and stretching your chest and all the muscles that have to do with breathing. Then you want to do some kind of an alignment exercise. So that means aligning your spine and your body so it supports your vocal mechanism. So often we're sitting here like this, in front of the computer or in our microphone. So you want to make sure that you're really aligned in your spine. The next thing that you want to do is to go ahead and do some kind of breathing exercises, getting the breath down into your body, getting it fully down there, connecting with your diaphragm, getting that breath really working. Then you want to connect your voice to that lower position. So you want to connect the voice to the body. That's the next step. Then the next step after that is to open up your resonating chambers. So that was partly what I just did right now, where I was opening the chest, opening my up in my head. And the mouth, all of those areas, you want to open those up. And then the last thing you want to do is some kind of articulation or diction exercises that will help you to be able to precisely speak.
Which actually segues, JJ, why don't you do this follow-up question, because it segues so perfectly with what Faith just said.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I've experienced over the last couple of years some real challenges with my diction. I used to have great diction. In fact, my mother-in-law is a speech pathologist, and one of the
Oh,
things she noticed when I first started dating my wife, I
Mhm.
called on the phone, and my wife was living at home at the time, and she said, "Sweetheart, there's a man on the phone for you, and he has really good diction." I mean, so it wasn't a problem years ago, but over time, I've really and recently experienced kind of a breakdown in my diction. There are words that I'm really struggling with, like community, institution, strategy. I'm able to say them now because I'm not performing. And so it sort of makes me think that it's mental and a little bit more stress oriented. But have you had patients or associates or anyone you've worked with kind of lose the sharpness of their diction? And what do you suggest for people to get that back if that happens?
those are great questions, JJ. And that can happen. It happens with me sometimes. If I'm not working out my diction and actually creating some exercises daily to be working on my own diction, I will have problems with it.
Mm.
I think that maybe perhaps because we're in a whole different realm than we used to be, working on the computer. We're not communicating with each other so much face to face, that we're all starting to place our voice a little more forward because of that feeling of communicating online. We're kind of like this. And when we're in person, we're in our body and we're talking like this. Every time you go forward in your placement, JJ, it's going to mess with your diction.
Hmm. Okay.
Well,
Interesting.
I'm listening to you, and I think that's what's going on.
Okay. Okay. So that alignment then is something that I should focus on, and
Alignment would be a good place to start. And then practicing your diction exercises, making sure that you're not leaning forward or kind of going forward
mhm.
with placement. But see if you can find a better, more middle placement with that. It's something I
Could you
work with everybody when we do sessions together. It's definitely something that we always do, is to work on that placement.
could you elaborate on the phrase diction exercises? Because I don't really have a regular group of exercises to focus on my diction.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different exercises that you can do. And what you want to do is some people will just do what we call tongue twisters. And they're a good place to start. But I think that in some ways you do a disservice to yourself if you are just starting with tongue twisters. It's kind of like starting with,
0 to 60.
yeah,
Mm,
it's like doing a dance routine without really working on the individual
mm,
steps.
mm.
So what you want to do is to go in, and this is something I specialize in, um, uh, go in and work different parts of your tongue that actually articulate the different sounds, and really get those parts of your tongue flexible and strong, so that you're not using the jaw or the back of the tongue or other parts of your articulating system to create those consonants. And
Okay.
sometimes consonants that you have to go in and check out and really work on. I also have techniques that I work on with people when with copy, about when you have like copy that's like, this is really a mouthful. This is a tongue twister. They obviously wrote this copy when no one spoke this out loud. They just wrote it.
Right.
And we've all seen copy like that whoever wrote the copy did not say these words out loud. I'm sure of it, because it's,
That's most of what I do, I feel.
so there's ways to go in and really work with those. Besides doing everything else that I do, I was a classical guitar major when I was in college, and I had to work really extreme, difficult pieces, like little pieces of a very fast little piece on the guitar piece, or it had to be really articulated in a very interesting way. And I would take just tiny pieces of the whole section of that song, and then really work slowly, quickly, doing it in different rhythms so that my fingers could articulate easily. And those are
Mm.
some things that I do when I work with my clients with articulation as well.
So it sounds like if I wanted to go more in depth, that's something that we should do one-on-one.
Yeah, because everybody's a little bit different, and it's not something it would take I want to get to everybody's question. And
Yeah, and thank you. I appreciate all the time. Thank you so much.
I hope I
They're
helped you.
really, yeah, really good questions and opened up a lot of things. Let's make sure everyone's relationship with their carbonation is clear. Kombucha, is it just anything with bubbles yet? Or is one thing better? There's soda water. It's just anything with bubbles. Avoid anything
Well,
with bubbles for the
that's a
reason.
great question. Because I drink kombucha. I'm like, I love it. I think it's fabulous. It's really good for your digestion. I do drink it. I wouldn't drink it before I had to speak or anything. And I'm not really experiencing much acid reflux or feeling of that. So I don't worry about that. But I never drink carbonated beverages ever, other than that. Never.
Mm.
I also heard that the carbonation leaches out some of the vitamins in your system as well. But kombucha I do drink because I think it's very healthy and wonderful.
Okay, good. Hopefully we've gotten that whole carbonation thing taken care of. Bill K, let's ask your question. It's a good one.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I played classical guitar in college also.
You did not.
I did. I'm also a singer, and I know we have a lot of singers here. And I've been studying VO for about a year. And I find that the difference between warming up for singing is different because of the amplitude and so forth. And I'm having a interesting time trying to figure out how to warm up just enough for VO, but not too much. So let's say I want to do a read that I need a lower voice for. If I warm up for singing, my low voice is gone. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Mm. Mhm.
I guess it's just a personal journey. I need to figure out, okay, how much do I need to warm up and then stop?
Well, that may be true, but you might think about when you're doing your voiceover that you don't do your singing warm-ups, that you
Right.
do warm-ups that are particular just to voice, because that will help. Because this, when you say that if you warm up your higher range, you lose your lower range, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and that's probably because you're maybe um, pushing a little bit of extra air into your vocal folds, to get to the higher range. And then what happens is that they become a little bit, maybe a little bit swollen, a little bit, a little bit inflamed, and then they can't vibrate slowly enough to do the lower voice. But the other thing that might help you, Bill, is to wake up your chest resonance then, right?
Mm.
Like like really get in there and wake that up, you know.
And do you use the straw at all? You haven't talked about the straw.
The straw phonation is great. I highly recommend it. Dr. Tisi, I think that's how you say his name. It has some great videos on YouTube. I recommend looking at him. He's the inventor of it. He's he was, when I was studying speech pathology, he was in our vocal rehab books. He's the real deal. So definitely go and look at his videos. They're great for helping with stressed out voices.
Yeah, I'm using it. I'm trying to use it just enough to warm up with and feel good and then go from there.
Yeah.
And I also recently found out how horrible coffee is for my voice. And this is a fourth day with no coffee, just water. No more coffee in my life. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how we kind of take these things and we think, oh, it's just coffee or it's just that or whatever. And one of the things that we talked about, I said in the slides, was that tea is bad for your voice. And I know a lot of people freak out when I say that. Um, the tea will dry your voice out, all kinds of tea, even if it's just herbal tea. But if you drink tea with slippery elm in it or something like that, that counteracts that and you should be okay.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Interesting.
Appreciate it.
I have a little straw from our session. Do you want to do a little demonstration, like guide through a little demonstration? I can do it of
Uh,
what the straw phonation is, or
I actually, you know what I'd rather do is take some other questions, and then if we have
okay,
time at the end, because like I said, Dr. Tisa has got some really great videos, and we'll give you a little
okay, great, great, great. And there was
foundation.
a question on how to spell TC.
Titze, I believe. I'm not.
That's
I believe that's it off the top of my head.
awesome. Something like that. And straw phonation would be the thing. Yeah. Okay. Good, good, good. We got JJ, we got the kombucha dilemma. Michelle.
I have.
Hi.
Michelle Wickless, yeah.
I see Kat has her hand raised too. I don't know if she's got.
Oh, okay. We'll go to Kat after. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, Kat. So yes, as
Mm,
I wrote in my question, in 2017, I got a polyp on my vocal cords removed. And I had a really great team of, vocal coaches to bring me back to life. But now as I, navigate post-operative life, I wonder, I still find myself getting taxed, vocally taxed pretty quickly, more so than before the surgery. So I was just wondering, is there a is there a way to build yourself back up safely to where you're able to use your voice for lengths of time? I'm an outdoor Shakespeare performer, so that makes it a little tough to all that projection. But yeah, just curious.
Well, are you presently studying with a vocal coach?
Not presently, no.
That's what I would do right away, Michelle.
Okay.
I'd get with a vocal coach, and that can help you build that up again, and someone who really understands post surgery what's going on with you, and that that would be my first recommendation.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, Kat, what's your question?
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of the things to avoid, and a lot of those were on my list of like, ask her about this, because dairy I've heard mixed things about, and citrus. So I'm someone who daily, I'm a little heartbroken to hear that even like herbal tea might be coming off my list unless it's got like licorice or slippery elm. Apple cider vinegar, super diluted, or lemon, super diluted. This is how I usually kick off my day. Should I be avoiding either of those?
Well, I think that the question is for everybody is that you're going to really pay attention to your own body and see what's happening. When I still drink tea, but I don't drink tea before, like several hours before I would have to do a performance or record something vocally. I would not do it then. And then I try to do more of the, slippery elm or licorice tea. That does help. And as far as your super diluted vinegar, again, see how it's affecting your body. First thing in the morning, it's probably not going to bother you that much, but see if it's creating any of that acidic backlash. And that's what we're really concerned about.
And do you know what it is about the herbal? Because I've really discovered like I cannot drink coffee during the day if I'm recording, which is pretty much every weekday. What is it about herbal teas? Is it the heat of it?
No, it's just that herbs are a drying agent. That's what if you think about how we use herbs, they've used Native Americans and have used herbs as a poultice to dry out, pull out, moisture. And so they just do that. They just use a drying agent. And so when you drink tea, you can notice that your mouth might be a little like this after you drink tea, and that's why.
And just to follow that up, because I've had so many members of the dojo ask me for recommendations for, especially as we get older, our mouths get noisier from being dry. And I talk about like swishing glycerin or brushing your teeth with the Biotine toothpaste. I talk about pulling the things out that you mention. What are other things like immediately before a session if we want to make sure that we don't have people talk about potato chips, apples, apple cider? What do you recommend for right before the session to get rid of that middle-aged mouth noise?
Well, I think that there is what's the name of that place in Burbank, Tish? I just was it on their site? Mailbox, Toluca Lake.
Mailbox.
They have a lot of vocal remedies that you can look at and try. And I went on their site to kind of look at what was available. And, here's the thing. Not all vocal sprays are equal. You have to remember that even though they're on the site, what you want to do is to go ahead and look up the ingredients. So I did a little bit of that to see what was going on. So they have a couple of different throat lozenges on their site. One of them is the Vocal Zone Throat Pastilles. And the problem with those, as I looked at what the ingredients were, is they have menthol and peppermint oil in them. Not good. So they may make your throat feel better, but they're also going to anesthetize your throat a little bit, which is not what you want. You don't want anything anesthetized. You want it open and being able to work with it. So they also have sucrose in that. So I would say stay away from that one. Now and there's the Honey's Cough Drop, which also has it doesn't seem to have, seems pretty good. The organic Manuka honey pops, I'm just going to give you some ideas here, also had organic cane syrup in it. So that's sugar. So that's, your body doesn't react to sugar. Your voice does not react good to sugar. So you don't want to have that. But the Thayer slippery elm were really good. All really good ingredients. Now there's some vocal sprays. The Throat Saver Rapid Response Spray looks pretty good. It has propolis, I think you call it, in it. Someone may know it's propolis or propolis. Slippery elm, xylitol, which is all great, thyme, and all of those things are good. The thing about propolis or propolis is that you might be allergic to it. So that's if you're allergic to bee stings and things like that. You might, so you want to check that out. So someone, JJ, did you have that? Do you like that? Yeah, that's a,
I this is just entertainer's secret that I got on Amazon, and
I
I
would,
think I got it because I heard someone talk about it on a podcast. I don't know that it actually works for me. I think mentally I'm like, now I'm good, and then I just attack.
It's
whatever.
mostly glycerin. So to me, that's
Okay.
the thing that helps reduce the mouth noise. But now I want to dig more into their ingredients to see if there's anything in there that we should. Well, you could easily swish it in your mouth and spit it out, so it would reduce your mouth noise, but wouldn't affect your throat.
that's good too.
Well, if that's what it's for, I don't know in my case that it's been really helpful. Just
Yeah,
that's my own experience.
the Vocalist throat spray seems to be good. It has marshmallow root, osha root, licorice, propolis, echinacea, ginger root, organic aloe vera, and glycerin and honey. So that feels like it might be a good one, the Vocal Ease throat spray, and a lot of people like that. I'm with JJ. Sometimes these things work and sometimes they don't. I've tried many different ones, and I think that you have to see what works for you. Again, you don't want to create dryness in your throat. So if you're drinking tea, that's going to create dryness. Then what happens is we get that sound. Sometimes it's not the excess moisture in your throat, it's actually the dryness in the throat, then the mouth. Dryness in the mouth that's creating the noise, and the dryness in the mouth makes your body create more saliva.
Yeah.
The other thing that everybody can try this, if you just kind of tighten your tongue up a little bit, notice the extra saliva that happens.
Hmm. Oh,
So that could be something you could try.
a little tongue squeeze.
Yeah, that would be extra saliva. So, and then sometimes a lozenge can help. Not right before, but it might, anything to get those juices going. Like I said, I think sometimes the mouth noise is not so much from, from excess saliva as it is from the dryness and the body trying to overcome that. I mean, Kat, what do you think about that?
Sorry, which one?
About the being dryness in the mouth or excess saliva?
That makes the noise?
Yeah.
I suspect dryness just because it does seem to come so much as we get older and our bodies do tend to get drier. And I personally definitely notice it when I'm not doing a great job of hydrating, but it really depends on the individual.
Yeah. I think that's what I think it's really causing on. So it's not that you have excess saliva. It really is that you have this dryness. And of course it makes sense as you get older, you've got to hydrate more. I would add electrolytes to your water because that really helps with hydration as well.
Cool. Excellent. Well, I think we have time for, we have one more question. We have time for one more question. We can wrap up. But Jessica has more reflux questions and LPR. But Jessica, can you unmute? There you are. Hi.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi. So yeah, been dealing with LPR for a little while now,
What is
and
that? What is that?
the Laryngopharyngeal Reflux. That's the
Oh,
one
the thing that Faith was talking about, it goes up in your throat. Okay.
Yeah. Been dealing with that since December, and it's caused a lot of trouble for me. I've definitely been getting better, but most of my days I'm not feeling or really being able to have my voice work the way it was before everything happened. And I was just wondering if you have any tips relating to that. And I've also wondered if like that can also cause like general like muscle tension in the neck, because I've also been experiencing a lot of that, and I feel like that could also be a part of like various issues.
So really good questions, Jessica. As far as your reflux that you're experiencing, are you under a doctor's care for that?
Yes, right now I've been working with an ENT. I have my next speech therapy tomorrow, actually.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that's been going on.
Well, that will help you with that. I mean, you want to be under a doctor's care for that because they can help you the best with the best possible rehab for you. As far as your tension in your neck and stuff like that, it's kind of an interesting thing. Stress can cause
Hmm.
muscle tension, but it also aggravates your reflux as well.
Hmm.
So that might be kind of related there. So I would, there's a lot of things that I would do as far as getting rid of this tension. I would do a really good stretch, like a really, really good stretch that's designed to stretch out this area. Do it religiously. If you can find some kind of time to meditate or do yoga or do something where you're stretching, relaxing your body would really help you a lot. But really targeting this area as far as that, and do kind of like the things that I really advocate as far as stretching. It's not like sports stretching because sometimes when people do a sports stretch, they're doing this with their hand or and you see people do that all the time, and it's just so uh, just aggravating of the muscle sometimes. So do what I would consider more of a Pilates stretch. So for example, if you're going to stretch your neck, you're just going to pull your head this way and then just gently push on your chin, and then exhale and stretch a little further on that exhale. Just like that, right? So it's a gentle push. And you can see on the exhale, you could probably get another inch of that, right? Then do it the other side. Just
Hmm.
Mm.
so really gentle stretches like that. And really also the other thing that you want to do, Jessica, is to add that exhale as you're stretching. So you're stretching into the exhale.
Mhm.
That will help to release some of that too as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
That that is
Thank you.
like the thing that's coming through for my takeaway from here today is um like just your mindfulness of the vocal mechanism, like you were talking about. Oh, well, how does your how does your tongue work? Like what are the like what's your tongue workout? And just getting that mindfulness of the little of the nuances of the mechanism, and how to make that in.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm always reminded by the phrase, the genius is in the details.
Yes, yes, yes.
Even how you do a warm up, a vocal warm up or a stretch, you could be doing it, but if you're not doing it in a way that's really helping you. Uh, there was a, um, there was a question here in the chat that I saw. Could we take a look at it maybe?
Yeah, yeah. I think it might be Bill Lavalle's question about bronchitis.
Yeah, bronchitis. Wow, Bill, that's just a tough one. I really feel for you. I've had that I've had that happen. But one of the things I'm going to suggest is um, the vocal spray that I love, which is the Xlear, Xlear, and use that religiously. It has xylitol and also grapefruit seed extract in it, and it's really good for getting rid of any kind of respiratory things out of your nose, because that's where you're going to inhale it and then cause the bronchitis for yourself. So that's a really good thing. They were doing some medical um, test on it, some about for how effective it is with COVID, and they were finding some really good, getting some really good results. So it's effective in battling viruses and bacteria. So I really do recommend that. That would be, and of course, um, you see your doctor or your ENT and see what they can do, as far as giving you some recommendations. I hope that helps.
What's the name of the spray again?
It's called Xlear. I'll go ahead and put it
Yeah.
in.
Please.
I used to get bronchitis.
It's my favorite. I should have stock in this company.
Um, Did you have one more question or notice, JJ? Or is that an old hand?
Well, I just was listening to William's thing, and I saw, in the chat, I used to struggle with that a lot. Actually, one of the things that I started doing was preventatively going to my ENT because I discovered that I have narrow ear canals. Apparently, between the narrow ear canals and some other issues with my own system, the way that it produces things like earwax and mucus, and not to get gross or anything, but this is our maintenance, our mechanism, and it's all connected. So I would go in and actually get my ears cleaned out twice a year, and found that when I was sort of proactive in taking care of that aspect of where a lot of this stuff starts. So it starts in the ears, or it starts in your sinuses, and then all of a sudden it collects in your face, and all of a sudden it moves to your chest. When I sort of short-circuited the problem that starts in my own ear canals, I found that I was actually a lot less likely to get the things that eventually led me to the bronchitis. So I don't know, and we sort of have said this a couple times. A couple people have said, it kind of works for some people, it doesn't work for others. If you have a good ENT, it would be maybe something that I would recommend for you. If you don't have one, find one, and then sort of have them take a look at some of the things that happen sort of habitually with your system that leads you down that road. Because like I said, all these things are connected. And if you can find a way to short circuit the problem before it begins, because I know once that settles in your chest, oh my gosh, I used to get it twice a year, every year, in the spring and in the fall. And I would just end up with just coughing fits forever. And once I found that work through my ENT, it really has caused a lot of that just to not even develop into that terrible thing. And I feel for you because I've had that too.
I moved to California and that fixed it. I used to have bronchitis twice a year. But Jill,
there you
already
go. I'll tell my
California.
wife right after we're done, we're moving to California. See you soon.
Yeah, I think getting the earwax out of your ear as a vocal artist regularly is a good thing anyways, because that can really affect us in the way we're speaking and hearing as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the whole thing has together. Well, we're at the top of the hour, guys. I would love to finish up. When we're at the dojo, a lot of dojo members are here, or dojo regulars are here. But we like to end anytime we get together with a dojo O. So we'd love to have you type in the chat anything that we covered today that made you go, oh, so, or oh, or oh, or oh. But what's your takeaway in its most distilled form? Type it in the chat as we're closing up. And then Joshua, we're going to do some breakout rooms. So the other thing that we like to do here is we come together for a certain amount of time, but there might be more that we want to talk about, or you might want to hang out and meet some people, hear more about JJ's ears or something like that. So Faith, I don't know if you have extra time to go into a breakout room. You've given so much in this hour. I think that Jeffrey has distilled how to reach Faith and some highlights of and how to reach us at the dojo. In our programs, Faith is incorporated into all of our programs. You should do voiceover, comes and visits, Mystery to Mastery. She's incorporated into the 14-month training program. So she's a great resource. Yeah, and if you have any questions about anything going on at the dojo, please reach out to us. And if you can stay, please do, and we'll break people into some breakout rooms. And just stay for as long as you can. And thank you, Faith, for being here. And let us know if we should do this more often. This has been helpful because we can do things more often.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it was wonderful having everybody here, and I hope that I got you thinking about a little bit about some of the things that you can do to keep your voice healthy.
Yeah. There's some good Dojo O's there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the ebook, Andrea's asking.
That's mine. So you can at my, I'll go ahead and you can just email me directly and I'll just email it back to you.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody. We'll officially end this section and